exciting career opportunities that today's students have in place with them in terms of finance and accounting profession.
IMA is an amazing organization, over a century old. The certification extremely powerful, valid, and I think most relevant.
We will be discussing about the US CMA qualification, one qualification that has been really gaining attraction and recognition, especially here in India. Only 2 exams to give. You've got 3 exam windows in the year to appear for.
Yes.
So in a very small span of time, you can really be on that, that global map. Hello everyone and welcome to the podcast at the Wall Street School, wherein we discuss about exciting career opportunities that today's students have in place with them in terms of finance and accounting profession. Today I have a very special guest with me, Mr. Arindam Ghosh, the country head at IMA, and we will be discussing about the US CMA qualification, one qualification that has been really gaining attraction and recognition, especially here in India. Welcome aboard, Mr. Arindam.
Thank you, Shilpi. Wonderful to be amongst all of you. And thanks for the invite. I think it's a wonderful afternoon in Delhi. And we are doing this conversation. I think, yes, it's definitely quite enterprising in terms of the certification. But then the way you are also kind of propagating it in India is really awesome. Kudos to you also.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for sparing out your valuable time while you're here in Delhi for us.
My pleasure.
So let's quickly start with the podcast. The first question would be obviously, talking about yourself, your role at IMA, and what really is the US CMA certification all about?
Okay, very nice question. Obviously, I mean, it's more of a loosener for me. Thank you for that. First question. So basically, I mean, I am a commerce postgraduate with MBA from Calcutta, having about 24 odd years plus experience, mostly into kind of advertising, marketing, product management, business incubations, and now into this IMA, expanding IMA mostly in the Indian subcontinent. IMA is an amazing organization, over a century old. The certification extremely powerful, valid, and I think most relevant, timely, relevant, and futuristic. Okay, which has its approval over 140 countries.
Wow!
So I think the globalization and the acceptance of the global certification itself makes a lot of a sense. So for me, the basic strategy is about expanding the India market. India is robust. Okay, we all know. We as Indians are proud to be in an economy which is growing faster than the world economy.
Yes, of course.
Absolutely, I think the international certifications are here to stay and here to be expanded. I'm really happy the way the Indian market is accepting this kind of a certification, which is accepted globally. And India is nothing beyond, I think. Over the last 3-4 years, it has really taken up very well, both in terms of the corporate acceptance, because I think we are officially also the GCC capital of the world. So
yes.
More than 1800 GCCs are there in India today. And mostly the GCCs are something which is propagating the expansion of opportunities. I'm talking about job opportunities, I'm talking about future career opportunities, I'm talking about growth opportunities. And this is where I think US CMA plays an enormous role to really kindle that kind of a futuristic career prospects for the young Indian professionals, mostly in the finance segment and also in the business segment.
Wonderful. And I think you've put it very wonderfully well for the audience out there, that this is one qualification which is really the most relevant in today's time and age.
Correct.
I mean, come to think of it, only 2 exams to give. You've got 3 exam windows in the year to appear for.
Yes.
So in a very small span of time, you can really be on that, that global map.
Absolutely. And not only that, it's a very comprehensive curriculum. Okay.
Absolutely.
So even though it sounds like a 2 examination papers, but even in these 2 examination papers, the coverage of the subjects, the core areas
yes,
are really vast. Okay. And most importantly, it's moving out of the traditional accounting as an accounting more into the business analytics, data analytics. You talk about integrating a lot of AIs into the finance segment and the business segment of it. I think that's what the new age finance professionals typically look at, and it's a lot about FP&A. It's a lot of financial planning and analysis. So what it really does is that it kind of captures the white space or the blue ocean, which is a kind of a bridge between the so-called business professionals and finance professionals. So it actually blurs that distance, and it helps the kind of the more complex the business situation gets, because as the company grows, as organization grows, there are a lot of complexities that goes
Absolutely.
along with the growth part altogether, which is part of the ecosystem of the growth. So here is where the US CMA certification and the qualified professionals plays an interlinking role between the traditional accounting as a finance professional to the business part, because that's a lot of data analysis, a lot of strategic decision making, a lot of new age ways of doing data analytics. So that's where it is placed, that as I said, the white space, they're playing in the white space, and that's why you see enormous amount of traction, acceptance from the market, the way the students are doing. And we Indians always feel that we always have been a little gray matterish in our approach. We always want to do a lot of things along with our traditional graduation,
Goes without
post-graduation,
saying, yes.
and stuff like that. So what could be a better, powerful combination if you are also being given that certification which is globally accepted?
Absolutely. I think that's a very wonderful way of putting across the value that this qualification brings to the table.
Absolutely.
So, coming to my next question, I think you've already covered a bit of it, but I would still like to address it like a separate question, because I
Sure.
think that is what really most of the students would like to know. That how would you compare the US CMA qualification as an accounting qualification to the traditional accounting qualifications that we have in India? So, why US CMA, and what is the what really makes it different?
Okay, so it's a very good question, very relevant question, but I will try to answer it in a slightly differentiated way with relevance to what we have in today's generation and how the world around us has really evolved since COVID. Because I think everybody knows what we have gone through across the globe and how fast-paced life has become
Absolutely.
since 2022. Probably we have catapulted by 15 years the way we used to look at before COVID and after COVID. So I'll kind of again try to talk about the blue ocean areas that this US certification plays in accordance with, also along with the financial traditional, let's say accounting processes that they take care of. So one of the biggest USPs that this particular certification plays is the way I look at it. It's like the bridge between the tradition and the new age finance professionals that they are looking for. Because of this, your area of expertise is not necessarily going to be only finance. It definitely your core area, but whether you are only limited to your core area, answer is no. The moment you are US CMA qualified, because you are also working with a lot of data analytics, a lot of financial planning and analysis, you are a part of the budgeting team. You are basically becoming a part of the CXO level decision makers who are going to really think about and do the changes which the business needs in the coming days. So you are those blue-eyed people around the CFOs, who are in the decision making and help in the decision making processes by providing the relevant data analytics to them. So that's one part of it, other than the traditional part. The second part of this beautiful story is that, which you also mentioned in the beginning, is the ability of a student, whether the student is undergoing a graduation, post-graduation, or already in the early career days, is that they are able to qualify within a span of about 1 year max. Anything between 12 months to 15 months, max 18 months. So anybody is on an average is good enough to qualify within 12 to 15 months. Second, it gives you a extremely powerful acceptable qualification which immediately opens up a global door for you. So you are not only talking about India as a market where you are talking about your own career to develop, your own marketability, you are opening the global absolute gateway. Okay, so you can be thinking about getting placed anywhere. Okay, we have umpteen amount of qualified students who have been abroad, moving abroad with the qualification. So that's another aspect. So that's again a segment, because today's generation is not limited to the geography. They are looking to look beyond,
Absolutely.
go beyond.
I think everybody wants to go global in today's time and
Absolutely,
age.
absolutely. So this is where it is also hitting the sweet spot in the right way, which they are getting that opportunity to go global careers from a very, very nascent stage of their career altogether. So that's the second part. The third part again is that the industry acceptance. Okay, as I also mentioned about the GCCs of the world, the big fours, okay, in terms of the names for sure. Many of the multinational Indian corporates are also really kind of taking up the US CMA certification, because they are understanding that this is the kind of new age financial professionals who are going to be really, really a game changer in terms of process definition and decision making abilities. So these are the typical ways in which this certification is playing in its sweet spot.
Wonderful. I think that that niche skill set that the qualification, is enhancing in the students' capability is really what the game changer is.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Correct.
So, tell me your piece of advice. So, supposingly, I'm a parent. My son is pursuing class 12 right now. So he is on the lookout for what next. So for students who are just after class 12 or pursuing graduation, why do you think that this is the certification that they should go along with their graduation?
So again, multiple reasons could be there, but a few of the very obvious reasons. One is that if you are a commerce graduate, okay, so you are anyway studying the finance part to it to some extent altogether. Now, along with this, you get a US certification, so for which you have sufficient timeline to really prepare yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Like 3 years of graduation goes without saying.
Go without saying. So during those timelines, you are also in a habit to actually do a lot of learning and training part of it. Wow. Now, the way the curriculum is devised in US, okay, US CMA, is that it actually goes along well with the commerce studies that you do in India.
Okay.
So this is in sync. So this, you do not really need to niche out or carve out any separate time for it. Mm-hmm. It goes along, okay, and it gives you a global perspective. So that's the first aspect to it. The second part is, again, you are kickstarting your career at a far higher level. Absolutely. So, if I talk about basic statistics, so IMA global survey that we did last year signified across the world a peer who is a US CMA certified to a peer who was a non-US CMA certified, the average salary level difference is as high as 67%. So think of that, the difference that it brings in terms of the value of Absolutely. So it's a direct return on investment for you. The third part is, again, how you look at, you have a value addition apart from just being a graduate, number one. So you have a head start, and that also at a global level. So you don't really only need to think about India, because yes, India is robust today. You have great opportunities, which probably 5 years back we never had. Absolutely. But now we have enough. But one, you already are there. But apart from that also, you can look beyond India. So that's the few, very top of the line important areas for which you can consider. But I think
these are the most relevant and, the most important differentiators that you really need to, know. When you're making, like if you're pursuing your graduation and you're looking out for the professional qualification to add on, these are certainly the aspects that every student would be, looking out for.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for sharing that valuable insights and, 67% differential in your salary.
That also at a global scale.
Yes. So, that's a very substantial number.
Substantial number, for sure. And in India, it's definitely huge. That's true. That's very true.
Wonderful. So I think everybody will agree upon the fact that graduation is an entry level, a bare minimum that everybody needs to do.
Yes.
But in today's time and age, when the competition is so huge, you really need that, that one plus.
Correct. You always have to have a differentiator.
Absolutely.
What stands you apart?
Absolutely.
That's what it is all about. And because it is, again, sweetly timed, it doesn't really take long
Yes.
tenure for you to complete stuff like that, and in line with your studies that you're doing. So it's like something you carry on as an
Absolutely.
opportunity together. That's how it
Wonderful.
is.
Thank you so much, Arindam, for sharing that. And what about what about people who are, at their already started with their professional journey?
Right.
So, what would be your piece of advice to those professionals who are probably looking out for that? What next should be done to get that next promotion in their career, or probably make a switch. So, how does the US, CMA qualification place you there?
Very relevant question. And let me give you again a statistics which is very interesting. Though not very relevant to India, but then globally very relevant. So if we look at a global perspective, the US CMA certified people or who are undergoing the certification, almost 62% are working professionals who are between 0 to 5 years of experience. So who are either kind of just started off their career or within the first 1-2 years of their career in finance segment. So this is something which is globally. Okay. Now what happens here is that, so one aspect which is very important for the starters in the corporates who are just between, let's say, 1 to 3 years of joining and stuff like that. So one is that it's not only about career switch, it's also about being committed to a lifelong learner, because
Absolutely.
today's age you really need to upgrade your skills, be relevant to the time, and also make you stand apart to your colleagues. And in this corporate world, it's always about the survival of the fittest. Okay, nobody
Goes without saying,
nobody
I
can
think.
even think anything beyond that. So in that perspective, we talk about, one is that if your area of interest lies in a lot of something like a financial planning and analysis, a lot of data analytics, a lot of strategic decision making, if you want to be there, in that lobby of people who are going to decide the next course of action for your corporate, for your organization, this is a qualification which is going to place you right up there, because
Right.
you are getting all the relevant skills, which is beyond the only normal accounting skills, which you are already good at accounting. You have been a commerce guy, so your assumption is that you're already doing that well. But what you are bringing onto the table is a variety. Okay,
Absolutely.
is that prowess which is very relevant. And if you look at also the way our curriculum is also kind of evolving over time, is that a lot of AI integration is happening, which is again
wow.
relevant. Okay, and if you look at the very recent Deloitte study, also 74% of finance professionals globally talks that AI integration is a must in finance today,
Absolutely.
going forward, because this is the way forward even to evolve in
Yes.
terms of the finance part. And US CMA already has it, and we are also evolving along with the time. So this is the most timely, time appropriate, and I would say again the investment appropriate kind of certification you can think about. And the last part but not the least is, again, because it is the duration is sweetly timed for any working professionals, and mostly so at a early stage, they are already overburdened with a lot of work, because it's their time to prove the mettle to the organization, so they would always have to work. So probably for them the kind of exceptions is to find time out for their studies. So here, because of the timing and the tenuity, and it's a course which could be completed within a year's time, it is still manageable for them to work and also come into the kind of course and complete it altogether. Once you have the certification, it's a game changer. Absolutely.
I think you've put it very rightly and with some very relevant data points as well. That how this particular qualification could be the superpower that your career requires, really.
True.
So I think it's just wonderful to have these insights from you. So coming to the last question here. So coming down, and talking about the future, really. So where do you see this particular US CMA qualification placing itself as a niche qualification in the dynamics of the Indian economy in the next 5 to 10 years down the line, maybe?
Very nice question. I love the futuristic part of the question altogether, because that's where we all aspire to be. So I think I'll take this question as over a span of 5 to 10 years, just half a decade to a decade kind of a thing. So I think interesting possibilities. One, US CMA as a qualification would be more integral to the academia part of Indian, if we talk about Indian ecosystem in terms of academia. Let me explain. So already as of now, we have multiple universities and colleges, as we are talking today, who have become an integral partner to run parallelly their graduation, post-graduation courses along with the IMA US certification.
Absolutely.
Now this is only the nascent stage of starting up. As more and more universities comes and tie up, this becomes an integral part of the Indian education ecosystem in the higher education part. So that's definite possibility in the near future. That's one. And why so? Again, because India as a market, the corporates are really over the globally, they were already accepting in 140 countries. In India also, because we have the GCCs, huge amount of GCCs of the world, almost 1800. Plus you have a lot of corporates who are multinational in nature. They are already accepting US CMA qualified people as a recruitment possibility. So this is expanding every day as we talk. This is an opportunity which also makes the academia really interested, because they are able to create that niche of helping the students get a placement with these organizations around. Okay, not only in India but across. That's the second part to it. The third part is we have been always very nimble-footed as a certification body to change with the time. And as we speak, we keep on constant evaluation of what is the market trend, how it is changing, what are the trends and demands that is expected in the next 2 to 3 years. Because let's say, hypothetically speaking, if somebody is preparing for a CMA, he or she would need to take anything between 12 to 18 months to complete it.
Right.
So somebody who is getting trained today will be placeable after about 18 months. So 1.5 years to 2 years. So is the skill going to be relevant in next 2 years?
Yes.
Is going to be the very important question. And that's where we are extremely flexible and extremely time apt. So that's going to be the third most interesting thing. The fourth part, again, which is there is going to be a increasing amount of demand for management accountants in the corporates of India, because more they become complex, the more they want analytical part, the financial planning and analytics to take precedence of it, because these are the people who are going to be the decision makers or take the change to the next level in the corporates decision making process, which will help them to do that. So that's the fourth part of it. And most importantly, the fifth part is that, as I mentioned, that if we talk about last year's IMA global study, so somebody who is qualified with a US CMA certification has a 67% higher salary than the peer who's not.
Right.
And in coming years, it will only bolster it more and more. So automatically, there are 5 powerful reasons how I foresee, US CMA certification in India is and will keep on being a game changer in the coming days.
Absolutely. I think, just come to think of it, the 12 core competencies that the qualification, teaches the students, that in itself enhances their cognitive, decision making ability, I think, from here to that next level. Right?
Absolutely.
And that strategic making decision ability, I think, is what is valued by the employers as well.
True.
So I think that is what really, brings to the table that value add that this qualification really is.
Absolutely. You are spot on, and thanks for being super analytical in understanding the US CMA certifications. I think you're absolutely there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Arindam, for your valuable time and telling the students out there that how this particular qualification really enhances their ability in terms of their strategic decision making, in terms of their cognitive thinking, in terms of their demand that that the future employers are looking out for that skill set.
Correct.
So this really is the qualification that students should think about, should inquire about, and then definitely make informed decision that is this really something that I'm looking out for.
True.
So I think that's just wonderful.
And I really take that last part, informed choice.
Absolutely.
That's what I think today's generation is all about. They are much more smarter than we have been. I'm sure on that. And I have huge regards, because you said you and I both have our teenage
Yes.
children. So we could see that. So they are much more analytical, more
Absolutely.
data driven. So I think once they understand the kind of advantage that this kind of a certification, global certification brings in, and within a sweet timeline, I think it's only the kind of robust growth that we are talking about is only a matter of time.
Absolutely. The Gen Z today is much smarter and they really want to make, smart choices as well.
Absolutely. And which has a good or rather better return on investment.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for your valuable time, Arindam. It was just wonderful to have you here with us.
It was an absolute pleasure. I love being here, love being quizzed by you, if I may say that way, but very, very relevant questions. I think, thank you, and keep up doing the fantastic job that the WallStreet School is doing.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, everyone, and I shall see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.